upstairs. So, Dave, Terry, Jeff, me, Ben Conrad, everyone who's getting ready is downstairs. And, Dave has, like, the most important part, the most difficult part, because he's the one who's doing most of the talking. So he's kind of rehearsing. And, so he's off by himself, sort of, like, running through his lines and, like, looking at notes. None of us want to bother him. And then down here, so we're in a place called the Pewter's Hall. And so these are the people in England, the company that makes, like, pewter glasses, like anything made of pewter was made, through this company. And they've been there since, like, the 15th century or, some insane amount of time. So the whole place is just full of antique pewter and artifacts. It's, like, really awesome. And they just have pewter goblets out everywhere, just all over the place, like tons and tons of them. So there's this one table that's kind of set up as a centerpiece that's just covered in pewter goblets. And then I'm over there kind of looking at them because we have these, like, landmark steins that we've made that are really, like, pretty cheap, like made in China kind of steins that just have the landmark logo on them. And I have a couple of them in there, and I'm thinking, man, like, these pewter people are probably rolling over in their graves if they saw that. And then Dave walks up to me and, looks at the table and looks at me. He's like, you know what this reminds me of, right? And I immediately know what he's talking about, which is the scene in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. It's like, there's all the cups, and one of them is the Holy Grail. And I look at him like, yeah, you must choose, but choose wisely. And so, yeah, I took a picture and tweeted that out. And yeah, that was really, really entertaining. We need a shock collar to make Obi talk again when he reads chat too long. Yeah, I know, right? Like, the problem is the only thing you guys can do is type more, and I don't see it. GamerDad FTG says, concerning play creations to possibly be used in EverQuest Next, is the team looking for specific uses for the creations? For example, town buildings, dungeons, etc. Yeah, in some cases yes, and in some cases no. Like, on one level, if people are just building awesome stuff, that's great, right? Like, if someone builds this really cool fountain, even if it's not specifically for anything that we had intended, we may contact that person and say, hey, can we use this fountain for something? But yeah, when we start doing these contests, we'll say, okay, we're building Kinos. And in Kinos, there's going to be a bank, and there's going to be a guild hall, and there's going to be a fountain, and there's going to be, a wizard's tower. And, here's concept art for these things. And we want the wizard's tower built, right? And this is what we think it looks like. But then you guys can just build whatever you think, and whichever one is really cool, we might take that. We also want to say, like, we need the lamp posts for Kinos, right? And then have people design those. So yeah, we'll be looking for very specific things, but we'll also be looking out for people who are just doing awesome stuff. Wolf AK asks, when is SOE making a trip to Australia and New Zealand to promote Landmark? I wish the answer was very, very soon. We don't have anything planned, unfortunately, but I would really like to get down there. Australia is by the numbers one of the countries that has signed up the most for beta. Has bought a fair amount of founders packs. So, we are very aware of our Australian and New Zealand fan base and want to find some ways to support them. Captain Aroma asks, if a guild or... Sorry, hang on, where did it go? If a guild in Landmark makes an instance or campaign worthy to be put in the game, will it be included in EverQuest Next? It could be, for sure. And that's one of the things, we're not just going to be looking for people to make buildings, or lampposts to go in the game. We also want to give people, like, the AI tools and the ability to create an instance, create a dungeon, create a raid, like those kinds of experiences. Create a town, and then say like, this is content that you can experience, right? Because we have a lot of ability to put them in the game, right? Like EverQuest Next is going to have the same depth of world that Landmark does, which means that you don't necessarily know where all of the adventures are. So it's not like Dungeon A always has to be in this spot, right? So if a player creates something that's really cool, we can just find some places to put it. And that means that over time we could have so many pieces of player created content that you could even theoretically never play the same dungeon twice. And that would be really cool. Buckwheat asks, will there be flying mounts in EQN like in other EQ games? Well, we haven't confirmed that yet, but I would say it's a pretty safe bet. Hanging out with Locke and Tobin was the only thing he didn't forget among the jet lag. No, that's not true. I also didn't forget that I was supposed to buy Colette some tea, and I didn't. It's so cool to have already heard about the Pewter's Hall because of Into the Portal. Yeah, I missed that part of Into the Portal. One of the things that is really good and also kind of sucks about the time for Into the Portal is, it happens Friday, like during the afternoon, generally a time when I can just sit at my desk, catch up on email and watch it, but also a time when, other people are coming by. So very little control over when I'm going to have to mute this. And finding so I didn't hear a whole bunch of stuff that happened on Into the Portal. I gotta go back and watch the rest of that episode to see what they said, because I'm really curious to hear Locke and Tobin recounting their experience too, because it was really cool for us. Hopefully they had a good time as well. Somebody get us a cup that looks like it belongs to a carpenter, stat. Best quote of that story. Yeah, Dave, that was really funny. We were talking too about how when we go to these press events, we usually have a press agency that works with us to help kind of staff the event. They provide security and make sure that everyone's in the right place and everything's on schedule and stuff like that. But they also, they have the sort of junior people who run around and go get you stuff. So, you can always, troll them if you want to and, be a prima donna. It's no, I want a Diet Coke with lemon in it, but the lemon already needs to be in there. And, they have no choice but to just run off and try to do whatever it is you want. So, yeah, we were joking about when we saw the the Holy Grail cups that we should go up to one of those poor kids and be like, yeah, somebody needs to go get the cup that looks like it belongs to a carpenter. But... that cup was made of wood. It's a pewter hall. Don't worry about it. Just, you can stand here and argue, or you can go find the cup that looks like it belongs to a carpenter. What are you going to do? Yes, Candors, I am catching up on the chat. I've gotten behind again. And yeah, thanks everyone for coming. If you haven't followed, definitely I would appreciate it if you follow. You can follow me on Twitter, YouTube, or on Twitch. They're all really valuable for me. Can just help you kind of keep up. A lot of these stories that I'm telling about London, like someone mentioned too, I had tweeted that picture out with the quote, and now you kind of get to hear the rest of the story. Have a good night, Jairod. Well, Tobes, achievement unlocked. Dave Georgeson has called you a horrible person. It's like you're basically on the team now. Did you know that Rama, who is in chat, has created a magnificent duck that we've called Dayglow and now worship as the duck deity? Yeah, Ramagi has been making weird duck sculptures pretty much the whole time in Landmark. They're pretty awesome. Of course we knew about a gigantic Dayglow duck. Tobrin did a terrible job of reading the questions. He always does. Have a good night, Deets Tales. Thanks for coming by. You're evil people for playing with the poor juniors that way. Oh, we don't do it, Rainia. We just joke about it because we know you can. You know, we're talking about the old Ozzy Osbourne trick about, you know, how he would demand only having green M&Ms in his trailer, and how like crazy the things you can demand are when, you know, when you're the talent and everyone has to like do what you say to make you happy. So yeah, you know, and obviously figuring out ways to take that to their logical extreme. Do we have ETAs on gaining more attachments, attached claims? I'm not sure, and I'm not sure where the maximum number is going to be. But yeah, I mean, I would say soon. Dave says their life experiences for the juniors. We're enriching their lives. Yeah, someone's got to teach them about unreasonable demands. Have I gotten a chance to watch the past few episodes of Live Feature Rant? I actually haven't, Legendary Neurotoxin. I really need to catch up. We've been so busy with you know, getting beta out and travel, and you know, it's really like just starting to get caught up the last couple days, and then I've got until Wednesday before we head out to PAX East. You know, so I feel like I'll just get caught up with work by Wednesday, and then, you know, use a couple days, and you know, it's just sort of the nature of the beast. But yeah, I would love to catch up on it. Sorry if this has been asked, but will you be at PAX East? Yeah, Skyla, Dave and I will both be at PAX East. We're leaving on Thursday and coming back on Sunday. And our schedules are kind of crazy, but we're definitely going to try to make some time to hang out, I think either Friday or Saturday night. And I don't know, like, for me, probably what I'm going to do at the very, very least is when I find a bar and I'm going to be hanging out in it for a while, I will tweet where I am. And if you guys want to come hang out, you definitely can, because I would love to meet some of the folks and just chat with people. But yeah, I used to live in Boston, so there is a sushi place that I definitely have to go to. It's a little bit far away from the convention center, but one of the nights that's happening. Should offer Shatari a job with his drop-dead amazing sci-fi builds. I saw one of the ones that Envy was touring a while ago. It was incredibly good. And it's funny too, because one of the things that we're thinking, and I know Dave has said a whole bunch of times, is that some of the artists and some of the builders who are, you know, making stuff in Landmark are probably going to be more successful on Player Studio than they would be if we hired them internally. People will make more money by building stuff and selling it on Player Studio than our internal artists will make. And that's pretty freaking cool, I think. Just give us one more claim and we'll all be happy. Yeah, I think it's actually my favorite like argument for needing more claims comes from the like OCD people who are like, if you just give us one more claim, we have a square. You know, it's driving me nuts not to have a square. Need to come to Dragon Con, even if not to promote, just to have a good time. Yeah, Evil FX, I've never been to Dragon Con. I used to live in Atlanta. I would really like to go for whatever reason, I think it's mostly schedules. Not a huge amount of us ever make it to Dragon Con. Usually, a couple of our community team go, and that's about it. Would love if claim upkeep let us pay at least a week so I could go to PAX East and not lose my claim if I forget to log in from the hotel. Yeah, Druids, and I think we've said that the upkeep right now is probably the harshest version of it that will ever exist. I don't know where Dave and the team are in testing for that to see, if they want to relax it a little bit or anything like that. But I'm sure it's gonna be a little bit easier to keep up with your upkeep over time. But yeah, I mean, and it's one of the reasons Zaitsev said earlier too. Like, I really haven't been playing that much since closed beta started, because closed beta was Wednesday. Friday night, I'm on the airplane to London. And you just got back Tuesday night. Like, I really didn't have time to get in there and play, and I also knew I wasn't gonna have time while I was in England, to hop on and pay upkeep or anything like that. So, I've been waiting a little bit. Yeah, Skyla, send me something offline, because definitely I'd love to get together with you and hang out a bit and grab a drink or something. But yeah, I think I'm not exactly sure, but my guess is that either Friday or Saturday, and it's probably Saturday. I'll at least have some free time. I don't know. I don't want to speak for Dave, because I know Dave's got a whole other list of obligations and things to do besides just the stuff that we do together. But yeah, we definitely want to spend some time hanging out. And if you see us walking around at PAX, definitely come up and say hi. Like, if we're busy, like if there's a camera in our face or whatever, obviously we won't be able to interact. But if we're just walking around or whatever, we would love to talk to you. Just don't be a stranger, don't be shy. If you see a short purple-haired female wearing a 1010 Hammer shirt, stop me and say hi. Well, seems hard to miss. Oh, we should pour some out for our homie Krona. Oh, poor Krona. Should we do the Klingon disaccommodation ceremony? Very solid, Throck. Very solid. I so often think about that when, like we're in a meeting and somebody says something that no one else agrees with. I just wish everyone would just sort of do that all at once. It cracks me up every time. Today I learned Omid has lived everywhere. It's true. I've actually lived quite a lot of places. It's been really cool. But yeah, I've lived all over the U.S. and then the only place I really haven't lived is kind of in the middle of the country, and my parents live in Oklahoma, so I spent a fair amount of time out there anyway. But yeah, I've lived in Boston, I've lived in Atlanta, I've lived in Virginia, I've lived in Seattle, I've lived in San Diego. So I've gotten a very good blend of all the different parts of America. Dave says he'll be on Landmark as Smoke Jumper tomorrow. He has to start resurrecting his claims. He's been playing his alt. Dave, are you going to be streaming that? Because I'm sure people would love to come and watch. On a scale of 1 to 10, how drunk is Omid right now? I don't know, 1 or 2. Not that drunk. Yeah, I actually haven't poured a scotch in a little while. I should probably do that. Oh, Dave. Dave now confirming that upkeep is going to get much harsher than it already is. You'll have to play every 12. Why stop there, Dave? Let's make it more often. Also, I think Dave will confirm that you're going to be able to pay your upkeep in blood soon. Racto says you should put your PC specs on your page down at the bottom. I should, but right now I'm actually, because I wasn't really considering streaming seriously. I we like Twitch so much that we wanted to, or I wanted to make sure I understood how streaming works, and what drives people to stream, how it works when they're doing it. How people get followers, how people do all the stuff in streaming, which is why I started doing my own personal streams. So I'm at home. I'm using my MacBook Pro to stream on, which is not quite the same thing as what most people are doing. So yeah, right now I have it's a very top end MacBook Pro that I'm streaming on, but I'm in the process of speccing out and buying basically just a computer for streaming. On a scale of 1 to 10, how drunk is Spankfest? His knee is bleeding and has no idea when or how he did it. Well, that sounds pretty good. That sounds like experience I had at GDC last year. Asphyx is on 5 beers. Well done. Also drinking when I hear beta. Yeah, Asphyx has a very, very aggressive drinking game that I feel like is not going to work out in the end. Geekdomo, if you want to get an interview at PAX, you need to contact Ben Conrad, our PR manager. He will take care of scheduling that time, if there's any time available. At this point, I'm not sure what the schedule looks like. The rain is pouring like crazy here. Want to trade weather, Obi? No, thank you. One of the reasons that I live in San Diego and plan to live in San Diego for the foreseeable future is how excellent the weather is. The fact that almost any time, 99% of the time when you travel somewhere and come back, the weather in San Diego is better. What Pokemon projects did I work on in the past? I worked on the Pokemon TCG. I used to work for Scry magazine writing about Pokemon. And then I started working for Wizards of the Coast on some of the organized play and some of the writing about Pokemon. If I ever stop by in Vienna, I'll let you know. Well, I don't know when that will happen again, but I love Vienna. I've been there a couple times. Last time I was there was for the Euro 2008. I was there for the semifinal between Russia and Spain, where Russia got absolutely crushed by Spain. And I love it. I love Vienna so much that I actually have a map of Vienna. It's one of the six maps I have hanging up in my house. So yeah, it's a wonderful town. Where do I think is the best place I've lived? Well, a lot of that I think is going to depend on what you value. I think that Boston is the best place I lived for culture and for things to do and like urban life and that sort of thing. San Diego is my favorite place I've ever lived. Just the quality of life here is so good. The fact that I'm so close to the water, like food is pretty good. It's just a nice place. It's not very stressful. Like it's got a lot of good stuff going for it. And then other places I've lived have had really cool stuff too. Seattle has like this wonderful intellectual community. It's also beautiful. It has a different sort of good weather. Like the weather's much worse than San Diego, but it's also way better than say Boston. And it also has the ability to sort of do outdoor activities like of any sort. In like an hour drive. And I know Dave grew up in Oregon, so he knows what I mean as well. Like the Pacific Northwest is just beautiful. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of a lot of value in different places. Catching up on the chat, and again, thank you guys so much for the wonderful chat. It's actually just really really good stuff, and thanks so much for Dave to for being here as well. Adds a lot of value to have him answering questions. He can answer questions I can't, and obviously he's one of the most tremendous people on the team. So just great to have him around. The real Maxian says, well, I saw some people on your stream with 100,000 of everything. Dave says those are special press accounts, not play accounts. Yeah, and so when we do things for the press, we'll often load them up with resources and things like that. And this is primarily because the press is going to play the game for, if we're lucky, an hour. And we can't say, okay, well, the game has all this cool building stuff, and but you have to gather stuff for a while before you can do it. We need to be able to show the press in that hour everything you can do. So, we'll load up press accounts with all sorts of stuff. In other MMOs, right? Like, you'll make a max level character that has all the cool stuff on it. The same sort of thing for press. And it's really just because we need them to get a good understanding of what the game is really quickly, and they're just not going to be able to do that just by playing from level 1. It's true. I love Ocean Beach. Yeah, I live in Point Loma, so not too far from there. I spent a lot of time in Ocean Beach. It's a really, really great area. Obeid is the reason I had no money as a kid. Pokemans brings back the memories and feels. Oh, it's so funny, Candors. So often, when I was working at Wizards, and then I worked on Yu-Gi-Oh! After that, so the same kind of thing where, and we would constantly get people saying that, not so much, the kids, but the parents, right? It's like, we would tell somebody we work for Pokemon, and they'd be like, oh, fuck you. Like, I hate Pokemon, blah, blah, blah. My kid loves it, and it's all they ever want, and they cry. And then, we would just carry, like, not kidding, just carry the, like, expensive cards in our pockets. Like, the promos and whatever. I'm just like, oh, well, when you go home, give your kid this card. And I'm like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever. And, it was at the point where, we'd give them to a waitress as part of the tip, stuff like that. The best one that I ever remember was one of my buddies was trying to fly to somewhere on the East Coast for a tournament, and he had all the prizes with him. So he had to get there, and they just told him, he's checking into his flight, and they told him that there was no way, the flight got canceled, and he was basically just screwed. And, he's wearing his Pokemon shirt, and, it's like, oh, God, I gotta get there, you don't understand, that sort of thing. And the guy asked him, oh, do you work on Pokemon? He's like, yeah, I do. And then he explained, that he had to get to the East Coast for this tournament and the prize. And the guy, did something and, like, rerouted him and, made it happen. So he was just going to get there a couple hours late. And, my friend was like, oh, thank you so much. And just gives him a box of Pokemon cards out of his stash, And the guy's like, oh, yeah, hey, leave me your frequent flyer number. And when he got home, he had, like, so many frequent flyer miles that was just unbelievable. Tankman asks, have I ever been to Wisconsin? Yes, I went to Wisconsin for Gen Con a couple times to Milwaukee. But yeah, that's it. Like, I really haven't spent a lot of time there, but it's awesome. And a lot of folks I know are from Wisconsin. Actually, Adam Key, who is the other brand manager for the EverQuest franchise, is from Wisconsin. And, all the good beer is from Wisconsin. So very often Adam goes home for a vacation or whatever. He comes back, we're like, all right, so what did you bring me? And he's like, well, I got some cheese. We're like, no. What did you really bring me? And then you get the good beer. And I believe Eric Smith, Mr. Smith on the team Felgen, is also from Wisconsin. Slaying Kindly says, good job, Omid. Suck up to the boss. Assume talking about me saying that Dave is awesome. I don't have to suck up to Dave. I don't work for Dave. I just think Dave is awesome. And, it's a great thing, right? Like, my favorite thing, too, is, because I know a lot of the folks that work for Dave, and there's a lot of respect for him. And it comes primarily from the fact that the dude has sort of infinite, like, high-level experience at all aspects of game design. And, he's very knowledgeable, very passionate. I mean, I don't have to tell you guys he's passionate. Like, he's here on a Saturday answering your questions. And you watch him on the videos and things like that, and tell me that guy doesn't love what he's doing. So it's not hard. It's not hard to love Dave. Yeah, just catching up on the chat. Played Yu-Gi-Oh! Too. Well done. Tipping with Pokemon cards. Geek levels approaching maximum. Oh, you have no idea. It gets so much worse. But I can't tell you how many times like Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh! Has opened some door that never ever would have happened. One of these times, me and a few of my friends went to like a Benihana kind of restaurant, a teppanyaki place, where you're all sitting around the table. And you usually get about 8 people at one of those tables, and we had 6. So at the end of the table is a couple, and this couple is clearly, trying to have a nice date. Have a good day, Stackus. Thanks for coming. Clearly trying to go out on a date and have a nice time, and then they're just stuck at this table with, these 6 jackasses, like five people and me, like the worst possible experience you can have. And we're all just laughing and yelling, and, they're trying to have a nice time. And then at some point somebody mentions Yu-Gi-Oh! And the wife is like, you work on Yu-Gi-Oh! I have a bone to pick with you. My kid just wants Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards, blah, blah, blah. All this stuff. Clearly like they left the kid at home with a babysitter or something and trying to have a nice night out. And, so we have one of the guys go out to his car and just pull out, I don't know, like $100, $200 worth of Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards, and just like, hey, yeah, take these home for your kid. Like, and, they end up being super nice and talking, and we're really excited. And it turned out the dude was one of the original programmers of Joust. And, so we just spent time, like, chatting with him and, like, asking what it was like to, make Joust, which is one of my favorite old games. And that never, ever would have happened. I should stream Dragon's Prophet sometime to share the dragon love. I would, man. I didn't get deep enough into that game to know how to do it, to play it really well. Canders asks, any Minnesotans on the dev team? I'm not sure, but there's certainly a guy on the marketing team from Minnesota. His name is Tony Eastman. He's the guy who's in charge of like all of our email strategy and a lot of, like customer management and that sort of thing. He's a really cool guy. Zaitsev says, Dave, you're my favorite SOE guy. Sorry, Omid, you're a runner-up. Oh, that's fine. Yeah, I totally understand. Dave is my favorite SOE guy too, because I hate myself. Yeah, Maribel says, I love Dave's enthusiasm best. He just makes me excited just by watching him. Yeah, and I think that's a really important thing too. And one of my favorite things that happens in a company, right, is you have Dave, who, he's the director of development. He's been working in the game industry forever. Has all of this gravitas and experience. And then you have so many people, on the team who are like, this is their first job, or, they've been doing this a little while. And, eventually at some point would love to be in Dave's position. And, seeing things like when we do a round table with one of those guys, or when, Dave is in a developer diary with one of those guys. And just like the experience and like watching, trying to show people, it's like people say like, wow, what makes Dave so good at being in these videos? And the number one thing, more than anything, is that enthusiasm and excitement and ability to not be nervous and like talk about stuff. And so that's, I think, the number one thing that people need to take away from like Dave when they're learning how to be these communicators and like how to get people excited about it, is that enthusiasm is just infectious, and it makes all the difference. Like having a good meeting with Dave, like everyone will leave and everyone will work 20% harder and 20% more effectively for the next couple days. Like, it's pretty awesome. I love that Dave gets upset at things that players get upset at, like when the voxel outline disappears when building. Yeah, Sigathur. I mean, the thing is, right, Dave is he's a player. He's a player of the game, just like you, just like me. The reason that he makes this game is because he plays games, right? That's why we all do it. And we have the same frustrations, and we see the same things that are broken and get upset about them. It's pretty cool. Ever been to Albuquerque, New Mexico, or has anyone from the team been there? Well, I'm sure some people from the team have been there. I actually stopped there for about 6 or 8 hours to pick up a friend of mine on a cross-country trip one time. But that's about it for me. Me Sleepy One, how you doing? I'm doing great. And if you guys aren't following me, I would definitely appreciate it if you follow me here on Twitch, follow me on Twitter, follow me on YouTube. All of that stuff is great. Let me, that way you get a notification anytime that I'm streaming. And on Twitter, you can just talk to me, ask me questions, that sort of thing. And same for Dave. Definitely follow Dave Georgeson on Twitter and on Twitch. Because he is super communicative. He is actually probably better than anyone in the world at giving us like server updates and when things are going up, when things are going down, that kind of thing. And once again, I'm so close to being caught up on the chat. Malagus says, where did it go? Where did it go? That's weird. Basically said, on the tour, I noticed that, thank you for the follow, Jalaro C. Says, on the tour of SOE, I noticed that it's a dog-friendly campus. Do any of you have dogs? Yes, I have a little dog. It's actually was my grandmother's dog. My grandmother passed away. And now I have it. Her name is Rosie. She is a tiny, adorable little poodle. She's like this big. And, just a, froofy little ridiculous poodle. I don't think Dave has a dog, but I could be wrong about that. And Chromie, yes, Dave is on Twitch. He's actually in the chat room right now talking, but he streams as well on his own channel, so I highly recommend following him. Have I been up the coast to Santa Barbara? I actually haven't been to Santa Barbara yet, and I am meaning to go. I have it on the list of places to go because I want to go wine tasting up there, for sure. And I'm going to pour myself a little more scotch. I think I will have some more of the Yamazaki because it was pretty tasty. Yeah, Dave says, I love dogs and want a dog, but I'd be a terrible owner or work way too much. Yeah, and that's exactly how I feel too. I never would have a dog, but now that I'm married and my wife and I can kind of team up and deal with the dog, like that helps a lot. But yeah, I've always been a dog person, and I've never had a dog until recently, just because of that. Like I would just feel bad, and it sucks for the dog. Okay, so I'm caught up on the chat, and we have Dave here to help answer questions. So I think I'm actually going to play a game. So I have a game called Triple Town loaded up. And has anybody ever heard of Triple Town before? I had actually completely forgotten about this game until last weekend when I was talking with Stefan from Storybricks and Locke Six Time, and we were just chatting about... What were we chatting? We were chatting about that game Threes that's out now for phones, and is also really fun if you haven't played Threes. And I had just mentioned Triple Town. It reminds me of Triple Town, and Stefan is like, "Oh my god, I love Triple Town," and so we started chatting about it. And Stefan is like a serious hardcore puzzle strategy kind of game player, probably like a chess grandmaster sort of person. My 3 scores are really good if they get around 10,000, and his are 80, 90, 100,000. So Triple Town is a game I like to say it's like Bejeweled meets Farmville, and you can play it on Facebook. It actually was originally a Facebook game. And it has, some Facebook-like monetization in it, but it's not nearly as crappy as Farmville and stuff like that, and so it's basically a match 3 game, and what you're doing. So let me pull it up here. Well, I'm gonna switch over and we'll see if this is actually working. And yeah, it is. Cool. So in Triple Town, you're basically building sets of 3s, right? So you start off, you're building, there's the grass here, right? That you see. So if you connect 3 pieces of grass, it turns into a bush. If you connect 3 bushes, they turn into a tree. You connect 3 trees, they turn into a house. And so on, until you get up further. And then there's these bears that will wander around at random and just sort of mess up your life. So, it's basically just a game about planning. So, and I am not too bad at it, so we'll see how it goes. So you can see here, I put a bush down, and then there's 1, 2 pieces of grass, 1, 2 pieces of grass. So I put this here, I'm going to get those, the pieces of grass will turn into a bush when I get 3, and then 3 bushes will turn into a tree. So a lot of stuff's going to happen very quickly. Oh, and I get a random prize. I actually just loaded, this is the Steam version of the game, so I haven't played it at all before, so it's probably got all the annoying tooltips and things like that going in. But yeah, let me see. And unfortunately, it's not a very streaming friendly game, so if I click off to, look at the chat or something, then it messes up or goes on pause. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it is just about planning your moves correctly. So I want to get a house here, right? That's my goal, because I'm going to want to get lined up groups of 3 houses. So ultimately, I need a tree, the last tree of the 3 to land here. So I'm going to build a bush here, and then I'm going to... Oh, this could be bad. So those dudes, the bears move at random, and they really can mess up your stuff. So you then also have items in this inventory here, and you can use the gold to buy more items. And, you know, they're kind of like, you know, get you out of jail sort of things. Let's see. Checking out the chat. Yeah, and then here it is. Oh yeah, Geekdomo, I have 2 monitors. I have all the chat on a monitor to the left, and then the game, you know, on my laptop monitor. But it's just like this game, when you click off the screen, it pauses. So that's kind of annoying. So you can see there, I use the bushes to make a tree and the trees to make a house. Now the goal will be to grow an even larger house. And sometimes you get dropped these bears, drop bears, as Stackus might mention. And once you box them in, like if I box them in and fill this in completely, they'll turn into these tombstones like this one. And when you have 3 tombstones, it turns into a church. And then the churches have a whole other progression on their side to grow. And so this thing is a crystal that I just got, and it's like a wild card. So I can put it here to get a bush. I can put it here to get a better house. And I also have, so you have like an inventory spot here, so you can save one thing. So I'm going to save that for later, just because it's a really powerful item. And that was pretty perfect. So now by dropping him here, I'm going to get 4 tombstones, which is going to turn into a church. Have a good night, Fallout Prime. Thanks for coming. And yeah, I'm still watching the chat and everything, so nothing's changing. Just doing the very, very rare thing of actually playing a game. And so anytime you line up more than 3 of the item, it creates this like more colorful version. Like you can see, here's a plain tree and here's a 4 bonus tree. Same with the bushes, and it gives you some nominal points. So now I'm in a good position, because if I can put another tree here, then it'll turn into a house, and then those 3 houses will turn into, I don't know what they call it, like a bigger house. I think these are like cottages and those are houses, or vice versa. So this is going to be the new minigame in Landmark's next patch. Yeah, probably not, but it is a pretty wonderful game. And like I said, it's available for, oh, that was good. It's available pretty much everywhere. It's on Steam for $10. It's on Facebook for free, like as a free-to-play game. And then it's on iOS and Android as a free-to-play game, and I think you can pay like $5 or something to unlock like permanent mode. All right, so I got like a good super house here. Ever play Angry Bears? I can't remember that game. It sounds familiar though. What is it? Burke Dave says, the system shutdown message is very brief and you can miss it if you aren't paying attention. Can you please extend the time frame so we can see it? Yeah, I'll definitely write a note to some of the producers about that as well. And just let them know about that feedback. Has Landmark ever considered a partnership with Valve? You mean being on Steam, Cody? I mean, Landmark will almost certainly eventually be on Steam. we're just not. I'm not sure exactly when yet. Like, there are a lot of strategic and business concerns as to when you go on Steam. But yeah, we'll definitely be on Steam eventually. No thanks. Plants vs Zombies had me in the house for weeks. No more addictive games save Landmark. Yeah, and this game. Yeah, have a good night, Frostpaw. Have a good night. This game I played so much of when it first came out. As I was working on social games and mobile games at the time, so just good research, right? Oh, that was so good. These bears move at random, and it can very often be difficult to get them in the right spot. But now I have them in the right spot. So I'll put this down. I'll get the three tombstones to turn into a church, and then the three churches together. So I get the super church or whatever. Now if I get three super churches together, I can get a treasure chest. And that's where stuff starts getting pretty difficult. But yeah, I mean, you can probably tell from this game, from just watching this for a few minutes, how deep this rabbit hole can go. Giga, this game is called Triple Town. It's available on pretty much every platform. It sort of has a different business model on every platform. It's $10 on Steam. It's like free to play on Facebook with like a crappy cash shop, and then on iOS and Android, it's free, and then there's like a $5 charge to get unlimited turns. But yeah, it's a really fun game, especially if you love puzzle games, which I do. It's one of the better puzzle games that I've played, and I hadn't actually thought about it in a long time, but then hanging out with Stefan from Storybricks, and we were talking about it, and I remembered just how much I love it. And what was really cool too is that Stefan is actually one of like a really, really high level strategy game player, and when we were chatting about it, it became clear that my skill level at this game is, while not on his level, still like fairly significant, which was cool. This is tricky. The thing about this game is you really have to get to the point where you're seeing kind of really far into the future, sort of like playing chess. Uh-oh. And you gotta keep these bears from getting loose, and sometimes that causes you more problems than anything. And we haven't even gotten to the point where the ninja bears show up yet, because that is pretty awesome. Yeah, and this game is called Triple Town. I need something that's like Banished for my tablet. I know, right? Man, I love Banished. I play an awful lot of that as well. I played it the last time I streamed, and I don't think it's a great game to stream, actually. It's not really that interesting to watch. Or it's like, I guess that's not quite the right way to put it, but it's certainly not interesting enough to watch, to play, like to stream. Oh, thank you, Zaitzi. I used to play this on Google Plus. Yeah, I think Google Plus got rid of that whole game initiative that they tried, and they were trying to be. That was back when they were trying to be a lot like Facebook, and then I think they just kind of gave up on it because it wasn't working. Can't be any worse to watch than Crusader Kings. Yeah, I can't think of many games that would be more boring to watch than like Crusader Kings or Europa Universalis. Just really like slow-paced, kind of nothing happening sort of games. Let's see. This is going to backfire on me. Yep. Oh, and then misclicking. Misclicking is always a good strategy. Oh, so I got a new piece here. This is the Imperial Bot, and can basically just destroy anything. So I can like just straight up kill a bear. I can remove something that's like in the wrong place, that kind of thing. And then this thing, this crystal, is a triple, like it's a wild card. So I can use it to complete anything. So I'm going to use it to complete the Super Church, because that's pretty good. Yeah, I got an achievement for that. Yeah, the Ninja Bears are coming, and they are the worst. They are actually, like, they really, really can mess you up. They're basically like these bears, except that they jump to a random spot every turn. They have like no consideration for anything, and they, I think, psychologically do a lot more damage than actually on the game board, but it just ends up not mattering. So this is getting a little ugly with these bears, but that's okay. More bears, great. So I think people who are tremendously skilled will actually use the bears to get the giant chests, but I don't think, I don't have that skill level. Oh man, that's annoying. Let's see. Yeah, the worst thing is when you're doing okay and you get two of the like power pieces and can't really determine what to do with them. So like I can clear out a piece, and like clearing out one of these dead rocks is probably worth it. So yeah, I'll just do that. And I've created a little bit of a mess, so I gotta figure out what to do about that. Oh, that's annoying. And that's annoying. Getting a lot of pieces that are a little bit difficult to use at the moment. But yeah, it was funny too because Stefan and I were chatting about this and with Locke, and Locke had never seen the game before. And we started, Stefan just kind of handed it over, and oh, good. We've got the lunar anklet code thing working finally. That took a while. Yeah, and sorry, I didn't have time to actually figure out how. I didn't even think about the fact that the giveaway thing would be broken from the chat update. So I only noticed that right before we started streaming. But yeah, so I guess we can give away some of the lunar anklets, which are the new item for closed beta that kind of replaced the what do you call it? Prime grapplers, and they're pretty cool. And Zube wins the first one. Congratulations. But we have a few to give out. I can't remember exactly how many I brought for the stream, but a decent amount. So once again, I've got a pretty good situation set here. If I can get another... thanks for following, Zangor. Yeah, and I believe you have to be following to win one of the lunar anklets, so I imagine we'll see more followers appearing all of a sudden. Not that there's anything wrong with that. We're all gamers here. Okay. So I basically just need... Oh, perfect. I just need another bush, and there it is. Oh, perfect. Yeah, so this game's going okay so far. This is going to be tricky, getting the three bears to actually land so that I can kill them here, but I'm not too worried. Oh, that's ugly. Yeah, a lot of ugliness. I'm gonna clear that out and see what happens. I got 2 wood. I don't know what that does, but that's good. Oh, it can be used in my capital city. Yeah, so to win the lunar anklet, all you have to do is be following the channel. You don't have to type anything or anything like that. Raktoth says, can you redeem and equip multiple lunar anklet codes? You can't redeem multiple codes. We have it set up so that it's 1 per account. You can currently equip multiple lunar anklet codes, but that's being changed. Right now, if you wear multiple lunar anklets, you basically jump higher. But we're going to fix that, so it won't work for too long. But, you know, you can enjoy it while it does, because, you know, have some fun on us. And, I mean, it's funny, too. Hang on one second. We were originally planning on the lunar anklets being, like, much more powerful than they are, because we were thinking of them the way that we were thinking of the prime grapplers, that we would just delete them after a while. But then we decided that we wanted to make them permanent. So when we decided that, we had to make them, you know, actually gameplay balanced. But the original versions, like, you could jump so high, like, you could basically, like, jump over mountains. It was really cool. Will there be the ability to offhand a torch or lantern in Landmark at night? There will almost certainly be, you know, and I don't know exactly what the method will be, but, you know, certainly some ability to have light sources that aren't just your main hand, you know, because when we get to combat and stuff, right, you're not going to be able to, you know, just put your torch down, because then you're in the dark, and if you're fighting somebody, you need to be able to see them. So yeah, I mean, we'll have something. I'm just not sure exactly what it'll be. Oh, this is tough. Okay, so I'm going to use this triple to get whatever the next big house is. As you can see from now, I need 3 of these to get this, like, blue-topped castle. And the blue-top castle, after the blue-top castle, there are 2 other levels of castle. So this game has just a tremendous amount of depth in it, and it is pretty awesome. That's ugly. Alright, fine. Metallical says, I want to be able to fly like they showed in one of their Landmark videos. Yeah, we're eventually going to have ability to fly on your claim. Ability to fly on your claim as one of sort of, like, craftable things you can do. But yeah, that'll probably be it. I'm not sure if there will be, like, flying mounts or ability to fly through the world just yet. See. Will the lights ever get patched back to greater luminescence? I'm sure that they're just looking at, you know, how bright lights have to be and adjusting that. I can't get drunk. Omid isn't catching up on chat. Well, I'm catching up on chat now. But yeah, I got a little bit ahead. Thanks for following, Shendra. And yeah, definitely, if you're not following, I would really appreciate it if you follow the channel. You can follow me on Twitter. Follow me on YouTube. That would be great. Will there be a DCUO to Landmark crossover? Probably not. Yeah, the odds of that are really, really low. Oh, that was good. Oh, and it gave me a house. So that's not bad either. So this is where you start having to really plan things right. Because what I want is to have 2 of these or 3 of these big houses, the last one landing here so that it's right next to this one. So to do that, I need the next big house here, which is good because it almost looks like I've been planning this, which I haven't. Whoops. Ooh, that was even better. But yeah, this game it's actually just tremendously difficult. It's really, really fun. I highly recommend it, just if you like puzzle games in general. But it is tremendously good, and it's taken a lot of play to get to the point where I can do this. Like, the game actually feels a lot like Tetris, where you start playing and you just immediately lose for a long time, and then all of a sudden you get better and everything just works. Ooh, that's interesting. All right, so some good things could happen here. Will we get a message with the anklet if we win? Yeah, Buckwheat, if you win, either Cody or Zaitsev will send you a message with the code in it, I believe. Just like a Twitch message. Chandra, can you put some more details about like what minor options or what minor tweaks to the chat system would be really useful to you? Since Dave is in here too, I'm sure he would appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, all the systems have a long way to go, right? We're just at the very beginning of this game, really starting to develop it out and that sort of thing. But it's going really well so far. But we understand that we have a long way to go before we're done. So let's see. Oh, that was perfect. Well, that's annoying. So what I really need is to drop another... No. I need to drop a big house here. So I need a house here and there, yeah. Man, this game is so hard. It's so hard that it's really like impressive how hard it is when you get right down to it. Oh, that's useful. Yeah, lots of great suggestions about the chat. I mean, right now you've got me, you've got Dave Georgeson here. Let us know any ideas you have for how to improve the chat. What would work? What is working? What isn't working? That would be great. Hey, Jay Keith, nice to hear that. Thanks for coming by. Yeah, Ko is an awesome dude, and we certainly appreciate him helping out. It was really fun. Myself and Darren McPherson, the lead game designer of Landmark, were on Ko's stream last week. Yeah, it was last week, wasn't it? No, it was the week before. Yeah, time is flying, and that was really cool to get on there and just hang out with him. So yeah, I'm glad he sent you over and welcome. I'm currently playing Tripletown. Mostly what I do on my streams is chat with people and answer questions. I'm the brand manager for the EverQuest franchise and Landmark. So a lot of the folks that are watching are, serious Landmark players. They have a lot of questions about, what's in the game or what's coming next. And right now, like, people are just making suggestions about how to improve the chat in. And we have Dave Georgeson, who's the director of development, is in the channel as well. So, he's the absolute best person to suggest things to. The buck stops with him. Hey guys, nice to see you too. And Dave said, let's see. Here's my personal list of everything that's wrong with chat. Everything. It needs, and we have planned, a complete overhaul. So, yeah, so definitely let us know what needs to be in chat, right? And, this kind of feedback has been really, really helpful across all of our systems. So, the fact that Dave is in here listening right now, like, you're not going to get a better chance to weigh in on what needs to be done with the chat. What we need is a tell window. Yeah. No, there's a lot of good stuff. So if I follow Omid, would I be led to all the good bars or get stuck on a wall when he walks around the corner? The good thing about following Omid is that I will never run you into a wall. I'm playing Landmark on one monitor and watching this stream on the other. When people in game are talking about the chat, I keep getting confused. Well, Throck, for going to Boston, it's really just me and Dave Georgeson going. So, 99% of the team is going to be in place. Building on one screen, listening to Omid babble on the other. Hey, well, that's like every day, right, Dave? And once again, I've gotten distracted by chat and stopped playing the game. Rack, though, says, Twitch chat suggestion. Slow mode, because poor Dave can't read all this stuff. What do you guys think of slow mode in chat? It's something that we've actually been talking about a lot at work, because especially on our streams, on our Landmark live streams, right, where there's 2,000 people instead of 200, the chat is going by so fast, it can be really difficult to read. And so the question, comes up, like, should we put it into slow mode? And I'm very concerned about slow mode because I feel like there are some people in the chat, like if we were in slow mode right now, someone like Candors or Legendary Neurotoxin, who actually, have like a ton of things to say and are adding quite a bit to the conversation, are just in the same boat where it's like, okay, well, you have to wait 2 minutes to say anything. And then we lose like the sort of valuable contribution from a lot of people. So I don't know, like I'm really kind of on the fence about it. Yeah, it slows the whole flow of conversation down. Yeah, but I guess the argument, which I think a lot of people are making, is that you have to do that when there's like 2,000-3,000 people talking at once, because, and I totally can understand the thing about it's hard to follow. Like, I'm sitting there when we're on the stream, And one of the things I'm trying to do is like read all the questions while participating in the conversation. And it's tremendously difficult to do, and I'm sure it's not that much easier, not that much easier to do, when you're just in the chat by it without anything. Is there any way to give certain people the ability to chat faster, the ones you want? Yeah, well, I mean, for one thing, you could make them mods. I'm not sure if there's another, like, familiar user level or something like that could do that. But, the problem is that, like, some people wouldn't be, like, a mod, really, but, like, a lot of people are making really good points and, like, talking about good things. Right now, I would say that there's no one in the chat here that I would want to put in slow mode, right? Like, a lot of people are like answering questions or posting reference links or doing a lot of very helpful things, and I feel like it's really difficult for us to tell who those people are going to be when there's 2,000 or 3,000 people going. Hire Code to read the chat for you. He's good at it. Can still play a game at the same time. Yeah, I know, right? That is a power that I need to develop because it seems super, super valuable. Another house. Well, that could be worse. That is annoying. Let's see what I get out of this treasure chest. I don't know what that is. Giant rock. Yeah, I haven't actually... It's funny, too, because I haven't played this game in... I don't know, I want to say a couple years. And, they've made a lot of improvements to it since last time I played. So I'm not even familiar. It's like, what is a capital city? I have no idea. Let's see. What does adding someone to the regulars list on Nightbot do? I fired Moobot a while ago because Moobot and I were fighting, and I installed Nightbot, but honestly I haven't had time to look at what it does. I think that Cody and Zaitsev probably have learned more about it than I have, just helping me moderate. And by the way, thanks to those guys so much, and both of them are streamers too, so you should definitely follow both of them if you're interested in Landmark and checking out cool stuff. Cody actually had one of his builds featured in a Curse video recently that was cool. Hey MJ, how you doing? Yeah, Daystar says it's two different beasts. In a personal stream, your main focus is gameplay and interaction. Landmark Live is pretty much entertaining through content. It's very nice of you to say that we're entertaining. I do appreciate that. Answering questions should be secondary to entertainment in that forum. Landmark should be the primary force for questions. The hashtag Landmark, not the Twitch chat. All very good points, I think. Maybe set up 5 people to just read and catch questions to highlight. Yeah, that's a good idea. And probably for Landmark Live, we should really employ some players to help us mod and help us collect questions. I know like Into the Portal does that really well, where there's always somebody in the chat, sometimes multiple people that are just collecting the questions and then putting them somewhere where they don't get lost. So this is a place where everyone knows your name. Yeah, it's kind of like that. It's certainly a lot like Cheers in that I think a fair amount of people are drinking. Buckwheat asks, "What's your dream car, Omid and Dave?" At this moment, it's probably a Tesla Model S. I'm really kind of jonesing for one of those. I used to have a 1969 Porsche 911, and that was my dream car for a while, and that was pretty awesome. Jay Keith says, I read the info on your channel. What's the story about if you hadn't stepped in a bowl of ramen noodles, you wouldn't be in the game industry? Well, that's actually the story of how I got into the game industry, is that I stepped in a bowl of ramen noodles when I was in college. So let me catch up with chat. Candace, that was for you. And then I will tell you guys that story. Legendary Neurotoxin says, "Are you buzzed yet?" Like, not really. I'm doing all right. Not like it's going to be on the Papers, Please stream, because drinking a lot of vodka is part of that plan. Oh, Buckwheat, I sold the 911 when I was moving at some point. I just had too many cars and couldn't keep up with it. But yeah, so the story of how I got into the game industry is I was in oh, that's true, Canders. But is Paradox Moose still here? I thought he left. Yeah, he left, but Paradox Moose is coming to the office on Monday. And I'm going to... so I'll tell him that story in person about how I nearly quit my job one time in Gazprom's boardroom. Gazprom is like the biggest company in Europe. It's like GE, or the biggest company in Russia. And I was meeting with the COO, and it didn't go very well for a number of reasons. But yeah, the ramen noodle story is that I basically had and I'll switch this back over to the big head one. I basically had a roommate in college who was like super, super messy, and I was like kind of regular messy. Oh, Canders, we've heard the noodle one a billion times. Sorry, not everyone has. But yeah, I was like a little bit messy, but he was really messy. And one night I was coming back from work, or not work. I was coming back from, I want to say something cool, but I was probably just, like being a loser, like 2 o'clock at night or something. It had been raining. And so, I come in and my roommate is asleep. So I, take my shoes off and I'll turn the lights on and I step in something cold and wet. And, I just kind of lose my temper and like flip the lights on and there's just a bowl of ramen noodles in the middle of the floor. And I was like, oh my God, what is this? And, the guy is like super nice. He's like, oh, I didn't think you would step in the noodles. And, like, what can you do, right? But I definitely didn't want to have a roommate anymore. And so I ended up, I was like, well, how am I going to not have a roommate in college? And I ended up, I was playing Magic the Gathering a lot and started writing for some of the Magic magazines and then starting up a website about Magic called StarCityGames.com. And between those things, started making enough money that I could, move out on my own and live in an apartment instead of the dorms. And I ended up, over time, getting hired by Wizards of the Coast to work on Magic, and that's kind of how I got into the game industry. And wouldn't have happened if I hadn't stepped in that bowl of ramen noodles. But yeah, I have like a million crazy random stories. One of the great things about working in the entertainment industry is, you just end up in all these strange situations uh, with like, random people, and you just kind of deal with it. Star City Games rocked. Those were the days. Yeah. Yeah, it was cool. Like I grew up I went to high school in the town where Star City is, Roanoke, Virginia, and it was just like a comic shop, and and they had magic cards, and a friend of mine had kind of like got me into them, and it was the only place around to buy magic cards, and so we'd go there. Poor dude who owned the place to stock more magic cards, and eventually he did, and I kind of got to become friends with him and that sort of thing. And he started up, and we started up the site, and it went really, 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 really well. And that's kind of how I got started in the game industry, and it's still going really well for him. I mean, tremendously well. He's doing very well. He's just an awesome dude too, and that's really the best thing about it is, a really, really solid dude. Then Jax asks, any chance you can give landmark beta keys to streamers to give out to their viewers? Yeah, absolutely. We do that a fair amount. You just send me a Twitch message with a little bit about your stream, and let us know what's going on. Generally, what we do is we try to stop in when you're streaming, check it out, just make sure it is cool and like a positive environment and stuff like that, and then we'll definitely be happy to hook you up a little bit. Anyone having problems with the videos hitching? Yeah, I have no idea. Let's see. Let me hop back into Tripletown and see how this is going. But yeah, so we're still giving out the Prime Grapplers in chat. So if you're looking for one, all you have to do is be following my channel, and you can follow me here. You can follow me on Twitter, follow me on YouTube. All of it is appreciated. SOE should have a conversion rate from players with beta codes to streamers. What do you mean exactly, Canders? So we can donate to them, but it would still be official. Oh, so we do have something like that. We have something called the Insiders program, and the way that works is for people who people who let us know that they're streaming a significant amount of Landmark. They can get in touch with us, and we'll come check out their stream. And if you get approved into the program, then we'll give you basically a code, like a referral code. And then when your viewers or whatever purchase Founders Packs and use that code, we keep track of it, and then we use that to give rewards to the streamer so that they have more stuff to give out. Oh, what did I say? Did I say Prime Grapplers? Yes, Lunar Anklets. Sorry, it's muscle memory. We were giving out Prime Grapplers for so long. I put Thai for the food style I want to see at SOE Live. Any possibility that could actually happen? I have no idea. My guess is no. Just based on my previous SOE Lives, it seems like the food styles end up being very, what everyone is going to like. And Thai food tends to have some, I love it, but some people don't. But yeah, it's worth a shot. Me Sleepy One says, Omi just trolled himself. Yeah, I do that pretty much what I do in my life. Rainia, if you're having trouble with the codes, you should just email me or Dexella or Roshan about it, and we'll take care of it. It's interesting because it seems like a few of the codes aren't working, which is kind of strange. But yeah, we'll just take care of it. You owe us Prime Grapplers. Well, it's funny. The Prime Grapplers were actually working for just a little bit during beta. They may still be working, but we're certainly going to kill them really soon. I have so many codes for Prime Grapplers, though. I vote for baby food for SOE Live. So what people are talking about too, I don't know if any of you guys have been to SOE Live. I know Reese has actually. I would love for you guys to share some of your experiences having gone. But SOE Live is our fan convention that we do in August in Vegas. We do it every year, and it's really awesome. Like basically we take most of the company, like I don't know, probably 70% of the company, out to Vegas for 4 or 5 days, and then we have people come in and play games. We do presentations. We show new stuff off. But I think the big sell, like the big draw, is that there's a lot of time in the schedule to just hang out and chat with the development team. So people can spend time like asking the kinds of questions that we're answering now. Share ideas with Dave, with Terry, with Darren and Jeff. And tell us like what they're liking, what they're not in the games, and just kind of get to know us, and it gives us a chance to get to know you guys. And it's super super awesome time. I think my favorite thing about it is really the amount of time where we get to spend just chatting with folks, and seeing what brings people to the game, what brings people to SOE Live, and what people are passionate about. And people come, like the same folks come every year, and it has kind of a like camp feeling that I think is really cool. But yeah, we just put tickets up for sale on Friday. And yeah, I would highly encourage you, if you're thinking about going, to book it early, just because I think it's going to sell out. It sold out last year, like just a few days before the cutoff, and this year I think it's going to sell out because last year we hadn't announced EverQuest Next or Landmark yet. What's Dave's email to send him ideas? Well, I don't know if Dave will want to share his email, but his Twitter feed is @DaveGeorgeson. And you can definitely tweet him there, like tweet him ideas. If the ideas are too long to go in there, you should definitely post them at the forums. And then I think what the smart people, what I've seen them do is they post kind of a long thing on the forums, and then they tweet Dave or Terry or whoever the link to the forum. I think that works pretty well. I want to go to SOE Live, but I'm stuck here in Sweden, hiding away from polar bears. Well, I guess that's a pretty good excuse. You don't use Twitter. Well, then the forums are probably going to be your best bet, Dazzler. I mean, you can also send him a Twitch message. He's in the chat now, so you just send him a message to that. I can't speak for how much he actually checks that stuff. I do know for sure that he responds to things on Twitter all the time, and it's really cool too because even for me, Twitter is something that I had before, but I wasn't really using. But it turns out that it's just sort of perfect for what we're doing on Landmark because it gives us a way to interact with people that, isn't so involved that it takes hours and hours of our time to do it, but also lets us, really quickly kind of see what people are thinking, or, skim ideas. And also, like, when somebody tweets us something and it won't fit on Twitter, like, we can take it offline, it's like, hey, send me an email or whatever. Candors, I would say I'm catching up with chat. Sigothur says, do any of the other devs respond or read tweets? It seems like it's only you, Dave, and Dexella who really interact often. Well, different people have different levels of interaction, and as Dave just said, right, just because people aren't responding doesn't mean they're not reading. And I think that's the most important thing to remember, right? Like Jeff Butler barely ever tweets and barely ever responds, but I know anytime that I've sent him something, he'll tell me about it later, right? So I know he reads them. Terry actually responds quite a bit. Rosie responds quite a bit. And then, I think the rest of the folks, it's sort of just, when they can. But yeah, and sending stuff to me, Dave, Terry, and Colette will get it to the right place. So even if it needs to go to, Darren or someone, very specific on the team, we'll make sure that the right people see it. So now I'm legitimately catching up on chat. Zube says, you should do an SOE Live in both the East and West Coast. We would love to. We'd actually love to do these events all the time. It's just that they're tremendously taxing on our resources. They cost a lot. We actually spend a lot of money on SOE Live. Even though folks are paying for tickets, we lose money on the event. And we're perfectly fine with that, but it's not even close to making money. And we view it as an expense. Like, we want to spend this money to spend the time with fans. But yeah, because of that, like, we're not able to do them all over the place. SOE Live Orlando would be awesome. Yeah, Terry Dasu, Ryania says that he responded to my Twitter messages and even led me to using Twitter at all. It's really cool. One of the things that I've noticed is how many people, like when they're following me, I'll click on their link and they're just following 6 people. Like, they're following me, Dave, Terry, Emily, Colette, and the Landmark account. And it's like all these people who are signing up for Twitter just to get the information from us. Because, like, Twitter is, it's kind of an interesting animal. It's not something that everyone needs to use in their day-to-day lives, but it just so happens to be, like, a great way for us to communicate with folks. SOE Live at Heinz Convention Center would be nice. Yeah, they don't even run PAX East at Heinz anymore. Though, we'll be out there next week, so it'll be nice. Hopefully we'll get to see you, Zube. Kender's Mayhem says, you mentioned earlier that you didn't want to go with WoW's UI system because it's creating a 2-tiered system of players. But you don't feel like so much of the information about the game, don't you feel like so much of the information about the game and its development is off the game and in social media doing much the same thing? Well, I think it's a valid point, but I don't view those things as related. The first thing about it's not about the UI. It's not that Deadly Boss Mobs makes your UI better. Deadly Boss Mobs and those kinds of mods surface information to you that the UI doesn't. Like, they surface you stats and things that are that the game designers would prefer to be in the database for whatever reason. And so, one way of looking at it is that, that's cheating. I wouldn't call it cheating because you can obviously get to it, but, it's giving you an advantage, right? It's not just like putting things in different places in a way that makes you happy, right? And so it's that ability, I'm getting better information, and that's segmenting me away from other players. And so that's really what we want to avoid. So much of the game's information about development being in social media, I'm not as worried about that because, for the same reason that we have this, it's a small group of people that are involved in this process, and we ultimately really want people to self-select. People who actually care enough to be involved in a game, first of all, when it's in alpha and broken all to hell and, most of the systems aren't in place, we don't want everyone in the world contributing to that because most people are going to just say, oh, well, your game is broken, fix it. What we want are people, honestly, like Rainia, who sent me a huge list of things that we could be doing better with our web presence, right? This isn't something that just a completely random person is going to do. It's a specific kind of person who cares a lot, who is going to take the time to do that sort of thing. And that kind of person is going to be wherever the action is, right? If we tell people to, come see us on Twitch, they're going to show up on Twitch. If we tell them to come post on the forum, they're going to post on the forum. If we tell them to go to Reddit, they'll go to Reddit. Because it's not about the method, it's about what they want to accomplish. And so social media turns out to be the best way for us to communicate because in addition to doing this communication, we still have to make the game, we still have to do our jobs, and we're viewing this as a value add. And if it gets to the point, forums are a great example. We love the forum, but you can get bogged down in these arguments, and it can just take all day to really get what you need out of a really long forum post. Whereas, Twitter can give you 1,000 people's ideas really, really quickly. So it becomes a very efficient way for us to, get that information. And yeah, so I don't view it as the same thing. And now I'm catching up on chat. Canders, I feel like you did that on purpose. Twitter is becoming one of the best ways to administrate large legions, guilds, and clans. I mean, honestly, and I feel like sometimes I work for Twitter. Honestly, I think Twitter is one of the best communication tools that we have. It does so many different things that you want and has so much flexibility that it's amazing, and it's so light too, right? Live streaming, for example, is a really good way to communicate with people, but it involves me setting up this thing, kind of scheduling time, scheduling a significant amount of time. I can tweet in 5 seconds and then get back a whole bunch of answers really quickly. It has so many advantages over so many other methods of communication. Yeah, I'm sorry you feel that way, Canders, about you hate Twitter and feel that you're forced to be a part of it because we're using it so much. Yeah, I can totally understand that feeling. Twitter turns out to be just the most efficient way for us to communicate with the most people. So. Dazzler asks, "What's Reddit? Heard about it but never used it." I love Reddit. It's a news aggregation website where people submit links to things that they think are interesting, and then other people up and downvote the content based on whether or not they think it's useful and constructive. The same with the comments on it and that sort of thing. And there's a lot of ability to customize it to the things that you're interested in reading about. So I highly suggest checking it out and just seeing what you think about it. But I've been using it, I don't know, since maybe the second year that it was out, and yeah, I love it so much. Burke Dave says, I signed up for DCUO and Landmark. Would I be bummed or would you be bummed if I supported DCUO as well as Landmark? No, of course not. Both games are in our family and we love them. And, certainly plenty of room to play multiple games. Tomb says, what is your story with Gazprom? Yeah, you've asked a couple times. Yeah, it's the oil and gas company. It really wasn't related to them. Like, I was just in their boardroom. We were talking to the COO who had just bought a hockey team. And we had... So the guy who... the EverQuest Next art, the art piece... The painting was done by this guy named Gabor Sikzai, and I actually met him on this disastrous trip to Russia. And he was brought there to help this, the COO of Gazprom design a mascot for his hockey team. And just things went so badly with my boss at the time, who is this insane billionaire, that yeah, I almost quit in the boardroom over some stuff that he did. It was kind of awesome. What is Omid actually supposed to be playing or not playing? Yeah, Vigar, it's called Triple Town, and like usual, I've gotten distracted with the chat and just basically stopped playing it. It's a puzzle matching building game. So you're basically trying to put together groups of three pieces of grass make a bush, 3 bushes make a tree, 3 trees make a house, 3 houses make a cottage, 3 cottages make a whatever this thing is. And so on, and it kind of goes forever, and gets like super complicated. That's really fun. But yeah, I've gotten distracted by the chat again. Why can't we embed Twitter into Landmark forums? That's a good question. Can you send me a message with? Do you mean like just embed like someone's tweet into the forum? Because I feel like you should be able to do that, and if you can't do that, I think we can fix that. Yeah, Facebook is weird. Obviously, like everyone, I used to love Facebook and use it all the time. And I feel like I barely ever I only go on there if I get a direct message from somebody that I know that I feel like needs to be answered. I almost never use it to get updates anymore, which is kind of a bummer. Throckmorton says, Reddit almost seems like a fancy forum. It pretty much is. It was started for programmers, kind of what Stack Overflow is now, if you're familiar with that site, to just, be a more efficient way to ask and answer questions related to programming. And then over time, sort of like what happened to Slashdot, over time it became also about things that programmers were interested in, and then sort of broader topics, and now it's a general content site. Jalisa says, I hate Reddit because it's hard to keep track of answers and such if they aren't upvoted. That's certainly true, but you also, sort of get what people think is the best answer to the question very quickly. So, unlike a forum where you may have to read 25 pages to find the good stuff, in Reddit, you'll find most, like 75% of the good stuff up at the top. Katona says, which big system in Landmark are you most excited about from what I've seen in development? Caves, combat, or water? That's a really tough question. I think it's combat for me. I think that combat is going to add the most complexity and sophistication to the game. And caves and exploration and all of that stuff, I think also will be really valuable. And I don't know, for me, water isn't super interesting, but I asked the question a little bit earlier in the stream, like why everyone is so excited about water, and I don't know, there were 20 great answers that were just, they're just not high priority for me, but I totally understand. Candor says there should be an optional pop-up in-game to follow all the tweets of devs. You can then just get a broadcasting game of what you peeps write. I think that's a great idea. It's actually something that we've discussed in various forums, Candors. Like, a lot of it is just figuring out what we can and can't do. I mean, you notice that we have in the game now the ability to tweet out screenshots and tweet from the game. That is certainly a step in the direction of being able to do kind of the stuff that you're talking about. And I think over time our goal is to have a much more robust ability to do things like you're suggesting. It's just going to take time, and a lot of it is us figuring out the best ways to do it. Me sleepy one. Yeah, I'm actually getting tired. I'm probably gonna wrap up the stream before too long. Just kind of get through the questions and see what everyone's talking about. Because yeah, I mean, I'm no longer jet lagged, but certainly also not quite at 100%. Yeah, Dazzler, kind of what Skyla said is, and we had debated, I mean, all the way back in like June and July of last year, whether or not to open EverQuest Next forums, like official forums. And the reason that we decided not to is pretty much what Skyla is saying. We haven't put out that much information about it. So a lot of what's being discussed on the forums or anywhere about EverQuest Next is speculation, or people like developing out their ideas based on the things we've said, and there's just not enough information yet for it to really be constructive and useful, to the kind of person who's like looking for information, right? So we decided it would be better to not have the official forum where people felt like the information was official until we got a little closer. Yeah, which is why the only section that's postable is Roundtable, because that's a place where we're asking for very specific discussions on things that we're talking about. So that information is relevant for everybody. Why water? Because I'm a pirate. That's pretty fair. When is it said that combat is coming? Well, basic combat, I believe, is coming this month. Full combat is coming before open beta. And I think that's about as much information as the blueprint has right now. How you doing, Brad Power? Thanks for coming. Yeah, and thanks so much for the great stream or for the great chat, everybody. Thanks, Dave. Dave says, "Good stream, Omid." That's the nicest thing Dave's ever said to me. Yeah, but thanks so much for the great chat. I mean, it's funny because like I always sit down to play a game and then just end up talking with folks, and that's fine with me. But you know, the whole reason for that is that you guys are really fun to talk to. Like lots of great conversation, lots of great, very different opinions, like very different things to say. Ability to ask questions and get feedback. Like a lot of the stuff you guys said about water is just like not things that I would have thought of, right? But it's really cool to just immediately see such good and instant feedback on it. So again, thank you guys very much. And if you aren't following the channel, I would really appreciate it if you do. You can follow me here, follow me on Twitter, follow me on YouTube. That would be great. Good night, Sfix. Thanks again. And he says, thanks for getting B drunk. So he's probably not lying. Might actually be drunk. Yeah. Oh man. Sorry. Just reading chat. Oh, the chat is so good here. When will we see that funky man-eating plant that was in the early video? Well, the Chomper, which is his name, keeps coming up in conversations internally more and more, so I'm hoping it's going to be before too long. When will I be streaming again? Great question, Buckwheat. Typically, I stream every Saturday. I won't stream next Saturday because I'll be at PAX East. So if you guys are at PAX East, then let me know. I'll try to tweet out where I am or where we're going to be, especially once we have some time to just kind of hang out. But yeah, so I probably won't stream next week, but I should be back the following Saturday. And I'll post up the date and time in the title here. Dark Instinct says, should bring other people from the team and have them talk about the stream and also like quest appearances to talk about different things they do, even if short ones. That's true. I do this stream kind of on my own time, and it's Saturday, and those folks on the team really deserve their weekends. They really need their rest. And so yeah, and I kind of live far away from most of the folks on the team. So yeah, but no, it's a great suggestion. Vlad Arena says, Omid's Scotch collection looks like my vodka collection, except his is more expensive. Well, who you should hang out with is Terry Michaels. Terry loves vodka. For me, vodka's fine. I haven't ever had any that really like set my world on fire. I'd love some recommendations from you on good vodka. Next stream, should be eating a bowl of ramen noodles. Alright, folks. I have reached the end of the chat. I am caught up on chat. So I think I'm going to wrap it up here. Again, thank you guys so much for coming. It's been a lot of fun. It's always a pleasure. Hopefully I will see everybody on, what's that called, Wednesday for Landmark Live. And hopefully I'll see some of you folks at PAX East. And then I will be back streaming, not this Saturday, but the next one. And take care, everyone. It was great seeing you.